McDonald's Tree Farm and Pumpkin Harvest, and we want to be able to show your class some of the things we do here at the farm during this time of year. So as we make our way out to the tree field, I was going to stop along the way and kind of show you the different heights of trees that we have. So it takes us 7 to 8 years to grow Christmas trees here at the farm. To the height that we like to be able to have people take them home for Christmas trees. So I am standing here next to a tree, and as you can tell, it's taller than me. I'm about 5'4", and so these trees are about a year or two away from where we will begin to sell them as a Christmas tree for families to cut down. So there's quite a few different heights and varieties out here in terms of sizes. So they're going to range anywhere between, there's a few that are out here that are only about 4 feet tall, but then there's others that are getting closer to 7 feet. So hopefully in a year or two, they'll be around 7 to 8 feet, which is the perfect height for people who have an 8-foot ceiling in their home. And then we'll hopefully have some taller ones available as well for families that have taller ceilings. But as we make our way out there, I'll stop at a few more sections just to show you the heights. Okay, so now I'm standing in a section that these were planted 4 or 5 years ago. And as you can tell, they're not as tall. I'm standing right next to one and it's coming to my shoulder. So like I said, we have different sizes and varieties out here, and I'm going to show you the different varieties that we do have here on the farm. Right here is what we call a Canaan fir, and it's very similar to a Fraser fir. We cannot grow Fraser fir here on our farm. We don't have the right soil, so this we consider the cousin to the Fraser fir. And as I get in here closer, you can tell that these needles, they're shorter. They have a short needle, but a strong branch. So these are good for those heavy ornaments for decoration, and people who like the shorter needle type of tree. They also have really good needle retention. So like when I pull on this, the needles aren't gonna fall off as easily. And they'll last a little bit longer throughout the season. The next type of variety we have here on the farm is called a white pine. So as you can tell, it has longer needles on it, and as I get here closer, you'll be able to see that. So these are a longer, softer needle, and the branches aren't as sturdy, okay? So with this, you tend to decorate these type of trees with like ribbon and garland and lighter weight ornaments. And then we're gonna make our way over to our last type of tree here. We do grow a few other varieties here on the farm, concolor. We've tried out some Korean fir here, but our main varieties are white pine, Scotch pine, and Canaan fir. So if we do, as we're walking out there, if I see a concolor, I'll show you what they look like as well. But we're making our way over here into our Scotch pine section, and we do try and break up our sections into the varieties just so it's an easier experience for the customer. When they come out, they know that this section is a Scotch pine, other ones are white pines. So here I am on the Scotch pine now. They look a little bit similar to the white pine. Their needles are longer, but they aren't as soft as a white pine. So they have a longer needle, but they're kind of perkier than a white pine, and their branches are sturdier, so you can hang some heavier ornaments on this. So those are the types of varieties of trees that we grow a majority of here. Okay, so now I'm at a section that these trees were planted 3 years ago, and so they are getting taller now. We do come out and around the bottoms of the trees, we start to trim around those just to help give them a good base. But these are short enough that if you were out here in the field, you would be taller than them. Okay, so that's what this looks like. And as you look out there, we're starting to get closer to where we're moving.
Hey everybody, I'm just going to explain the first step in our Christmas tree planting process. So wherever we are in the field, the first thing we do, they're pretty hard to see out there, but there's some flags out there. Those are marking our rows. And so we will go out and measure out, you can see those flags out there. The sections that we're going to plant that year, we'll measure out the rows and mark the ends of the rows with those pink flags. And that lets us know where to drive the planter and get kind of the first mark, and then the planter has a marker on it to show where the next row is going to be. But it lines up with those flags. And then what I'm doing right now is painting these white lines on the ground, and that tells the person on the planter when to put the tree in the ground. So as the person on the back of the planter rides along, anytime they come to one of the white lines, they put a tree on the white line, and that keeps our trees in rows this direction. So we try to plant rows straight in both directions. That way it's easier to mow and care for our trees as they're growing. And the way that I do that is with this sprayer right here. So that sprays paint out of that tank, and it's compressed air that forces the paint out of the nozzle. And so I just drive down whatever line I just made. I'll drive down this line and spray the next line as I go.
So now we're out in the tree field, and these are the new sections that we're planting right now. We've planted about 6,000 trees so far, and we're going to plant 12,000 this year. Now we're planting that many because we had to replant some from last year, but we do plant around 7,000 trees, 7,000 to 8,000 trees each spring. So right now we're using our tree planter, and we have someone driving our tractor there, and Tom is dropping a tree in each spot. We showed you how we mark our rows, and so he is marking on each line that Lucas has sprayed on the ground, and then Paul, our tractor driver, he is driving down the lines where we have flagged the rows, so that we have 10 rows in each section, and then just depending on the size of the section, it depends on how many trees end up in that one. So like a couple of days ago, there was like 68 trees per row. I'm not sure how many we have right now, but if you look over there, there's the marker arm off to the right hand side of the tractor. It is marking for the next row for Paul to be able to drive down the next straight row of the section. And then as they move along here, I'm going to get caught up and show you what Tom is doing and how our planter works. So as I get closer here, you'll see off to the side here, there's a plow right down in there, and it is opening up the ground for us. And then as the ground opens up, Tom is placing a tree where these lines are on the ground, these white lines, and then this wheel right here is coming behind and closing that. So I'm going to get closer in here so you guys can see how that works. And then once the ground closes the trees there, you see we have some workers out here. The girls over there, they're stomping the trees in. So the ground does close the tree, and like this one's looking pretty nice how it's standing straight up. Sometimes we have to come through and straighten the trees a little bit. And then just to make sure that the ground is closed around them, we come in and we step around the trees like this. And that just helps us know that no air is going to get down in there around the roots, and that should help the tree grow. Later we do come through and help spread out the uneven dirt there. We'll come through and either work that ground just so it lays flat, so when we come through to mow and things like that, the ground's not as bumpy. So we're out here in the sections that we've been planting. If you look that way, a majority of those are trees that we've planted this year. And we have this section and I think 4 more sections left to plant. So like I said, we're gonna plant about 12,000 seedlings this year. A majority of those will be ready in 2027. So like I said earlier, it takes us 7 to 8 years to grow a tree. So these should be ready for harvest in 2027.